Hey guys, it's your girl Erica, back at it again with another video. This one is going to be a quick survival guide for all the specialists out there. So it will probably be appropriate to begin with describing what specialist role is all about. With IBC, they really teach you the techniques that would apply to more of an advisor position. Before we even get there, there's a process involved, which is where the specialists come in, because those are the ones who actually put the appointments onto the advisor's or closer's calendar. So your job is to make sure the person is actually going to be a good fit for the program that the advisor or the closer is going to sell them. The person is looking for something to fix their business or whatever, or their body, fitness, whatever you want, and then the program that you're involved with directly solves the issue that they're having. But here's the trick. You are not selling the program because you're not the advisor, you're not the closer. You are selling the call with the advisor that might change the person's life. So you shouldn't be hyping up the program because not your job. Your job is to hype up the call with the advisor, aka closer. There's a number of ways that a specialist gets leads or people to put on the advisor's calendar. Leads come from a couple of main sources. They can either be from organic Facebook posts, or also known as two steps. They can be from a webinar or via cell letter, or they can be, totally outbound cold call type thing, or it can be a triage. So essentially all of them kind of do the same thing. They basically generate the leads, but then your job is to kind of sort through leads, see which ones are going to be a good fit, and then you hype the advisor, you drop them on the advisor's calendar, and the advisors take care of the actual call. So your job is not done until the person is having a conversation with the advisors. You have to continuously follow up with people, but we're gonna get there in a second. No rush, we're not rushing here. Baby steps, you know what I mean? So majority of people who graduate IBC or graduate any sort of sales training, but they don't quite have the experience, the dials that they need to get in order to be an advisor yet. Usually people with no experience are going to start as a specialist and then work their way up to an advisor if they make it. Because it ain't easy, brother. It ain't easy. So now that you know what kind of the job of the specialist is, let's begin with the actual survival tips that you'll definitely need once you're starting out in this position. So I want to say most important thing to keep in mind is you're gonna mess things up probably for the first week. You'll be all over the place, you'll not know what you're doing, but there's no need to panic because you only learn from your mistakes, so it's okay. It's okay if things not work out well the first week, that's fine. But what you gotta do is make sure you ask the questions, even if it's the most basic question, hey, I have no clue what's going on and I need help, somebody help me. Because yeah, you gotta know what is it exactly that you're looking for in order for the person to be qualified to jump on a call with an advisor. Because otherwise you're just wasting their time and it's not gonna be fun. Not for you, not for the advisor, not for the company. Yeah, so make sure you ask tons of questions. What helped me out the most is called time chunking. I'm just gonna explain to you how it all works. So you basically want to separate your day into chunks, kind of 3-4 main, tasks that you need to do. So if the main things you gotta concentrate on is follow-ups, making new dials, or speaking with new prospects, follow-ups again. Follow-up is the key, and we'll get to that in a second. I honestly think those are the main two things you should concentrate on, is following up with people and making new dials. You're gonna be a lot more organized and you're not gonna be freaking out jumping from task to task, because essentially what happens if you jump from task to task, your brain doesn't have enough time to get into the flow of things, and the brain requires at least 30 minutes to switch. Context switching, I believe that's what it's called. So 30 minutes if you're switching from task to task, you're gonna feel you're just moving around a lot and accomplishing something, but you're just panicking and freaking out and not really moving forward. and your job really is to like continuously move the pipeline forward and forward, with like following up with people and connecting with new people. So yeah, organizing your day, taking care of your biology, making sure you have a break to drink water, to eat as many times as you do, doesn't matter. But definitely like one thing that I struggle a lot is just overworking yourself and not having enough time to just like breathe. And that's really important, because otherwise you're gonna go into like panic mode and you're gonna start context switching and it's just gonna be a mess. So don't do that. Like, just really outline the main 2 or 3 tasks that you have to do for the day. Just do them. Just bang them out, bro. That's it. Follow-up. Follow-up is probably the most powerful thing you can do as a specialist, because the whole point of marketing is to make sure there are multiple touch points with the prospect. Because if you just go do a cold call, set the call with the advisor, chances are people either like not gonna show if you didn't sell the call that well, or they will throw an objection like, oh, I need to think about it because I don't really know you that well, guys. So automatically it's like just not the best thing to set a person who barely knows anything about the company, even if it's a perfect fit, even if you know like, ooh, we're gonna solve their problem 100%. It's good to think kind of like a step ahead and be like, hey, if I was in this person's shoes, would I buy a high ticket program if I barely know the people that are selling it? Right? Like, unless that's just facts. Sometimes people need like anywhere from 5 to 15 to like 50 touch points essentially before they actually make their mind, because you gotta stay in their brain for them to actually build that like trust and relationship. So this is why follow-up is so important, because your job essentially is not only set people on the calendar and vet them, is to basically build a relationship, have a human connection point between the prospect and the company. You're kind of like in the middle, creating that like trust, that relationship that perhaps is not quite there yet, but you're gonna change it by continuously following up with people and coming from a place of care rather than let's get on the calendar, let's have a call with the advisor. Yeah. The person knows that and they don't wanna, like, don't push them. Also keep in mind, a person forced against their will is of the same opinion still. Shout out, what book was that? Atomic Habits or something? No, I don't know what book this was from. You can Google it and figure it out. I won't give a fart. I heard it in a podcast from Matt Ryder with Jeremy Miner. Great podcast, highly recommend, 10 out of 10. Moving on to the next one. But yeah, okay, so why follow-up is so important, aside from obviously building a relationship with the person, is because a lot of people give up from the first try and they kind of like put it in the back burner and end up never like really connecting to the prospect again, and they just fall through cracks. And it's like, technically it was a great set that you could have put on the board, but because you didn't follow up with them often enough, they just forgot about you. The trust wasn't there, and next time if you call that person again in 3 months, it's just gonna be like, who is this? I don't know who this is, goodbye. So it's a really great idea to just follow up with people, especially with those who already made connection with one of your advisors, but for some reason they like didn't close, and but enough time has passed, perhaps they rethought their opinion or their decision, and they have the capital, or the trust has evolved and it's kind of more there than it used to be. So it's really good to just follow up with prospects who didn't close yet, and then try and set them back up on the calendar if it's the right time for them. Because again, if you push people to get on the calendar and they're not really into that, it's just not gonna happen. They're just not gonna close unless the advisor is like a magician and the person has a great mindset, but people rarely do have an excellent mindset. I guess another survival tip that I didn't think about or I didn't write it down, but do not get discouraged if you can't get like 20 appointments in a day. It just doesn't work like that. companies respect and look for is for somebody who's continuously trying to grow, ask for questions, ask for help, because the help is there. People will be more than happy to help you out because it will help the company, it'll get you more money, and it'll get them more money. So ask for help because it's important. Don't figure it out by yourself. Like, that's what people around you are for. Thank you guys so much for staying with me today on this quick video on survival tips for specialists. See you guys in the next one. Peace out, stay woke, don't be broke.